School's out, blame Corona, but I still got some science I could show ya. No class, no school, that's cool. Throw the class on the YouTube. Even if they shut the school down, I'll get that knowledge anyway somehow. Real scholars won't stop for Corona. Tune in for that science takeover.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. It is March 18th, 2020. We're back together. From your home to my home, we will learn science today. All right, we're working still out of our TCI program, Cells and Genetics. Lesson number 5, Controlling Body Systems. Section 3 today, Voluntary and Involuntary Responses. Shout out to our HB DuPont Warriors, continuing to learn. All right, glad to see you all here. And we are now at 69 subscribers. Big class, loving it. Just want to give you guys a heads up. I'm at home, so here with my husband, 4 children, my niece is here. So if you hear any voices, background noises, and things of that nature, I'm at home. So, you know, that's how it goes. So anyway, let's get into it. All right, here we will start today's lesson, section 3, as mentioned. All right, and it says, if you have been to a checkup at the doctor's office, hands up if you have. I know you have because I have. Okay. Should have one at least once a year. All right. So if you have been to a checkup at the doctor's office, the doctor might have used a small rubber hammer to hit below your knee. Remember that little test? We're going to talk about that today. What in the world do they do that for, right? Then, to your surprise, your lower leg probably kicked forward. What caused your leg to act like it had a mind of its own? All right. So today's learning objective, I can distinguish between voluntary and involuntary responses. Let's talk about it. Some responses to a stimulus. All right, we talked about those yesterday, right? Things that happen in your internal environment, things that happen in your external environment that your nervous system react to, right? So some responses to a stimulus are voluntary and others are involuntary. Responses that you have to think about to control are voluntary responses. All right, let's enlarge this just a snag. Okay? For example, moving your body to stand up from your chair after you hear the bell ring at the end of the school day is a voluntary response to the bell. Let's talk about this. So we have the bell is considered what? Internal stimulus or external stimulus? You tell me. You tell me. External. Good job. Good job. All right. So, which sense is picking up on the bell? Ears. Good job. You hear the bell. All right. We're connecting all of this to yesterday. So, if you missed yesterday's lesson, please go back and tune in for that. All right. So, we hear the bell. All right. And then we react. So, that's an example of a voluntary response. Obviously, when you hear the bell, you can make a decision. You can say, I don't feel like going to my next class. I'm going to just sit here a little longer. Act like I didn't hear it. I've seen people do that before. I think I probably did it too. Okay? Or you could say, oh my gosh, I'm so excited for my next class. As soon as you hear that bell, hop about your seat, boom, get out the class, right? So that goes to show voluntary. You have a choice in how you respond, right? So responses in the next case that you do not have to think about, such as your breathing, heartbeat, and digestion, are considered involuntary. You do not have a choice about breathing. You do not have a choice about your heart beating. You do not have a choice about digesting your food. All right? So you do not, when you eat, have to talk to your stomach and say, hey, can you please help me digest this? Please? I mean, can you digest this for me? It's not really a choice. You can't say, stomach, don't digest this food for me. Don't do it. You can't. I mean, once you put it down there, stomach's going to do its job. You're digesting your food. All right. So in this case, that's considered involuntary. All right. Let's do a recap. So far we've covered some responses to stimuli are voluntary and others are what? Involuntary. Responses that you have to think about to control are voluntary responses. Example, standing up, picking up your book, cleaning up your room. Do you like to clean up your room? Are you the type that would clean up your room even if the parent does not tell you to clean it up? Or does someone have to tell you to clean up the room? Let me just give you a heads up. My children, I have to tell them to clean up their room. Every now and then, they just clean it up. And I'm like, I mean, if you really want to get on your parents' good side, just clean the room up and then invite them in. And, oh my gosh, this room is so clean. Wow, you've been listening to me. Oh my gosh. Hey, maybe you'll get to do something that you like to do. You know? Don't do it to bribe your parents, but I'm just saying, you know. Just a little pointer, just trying to give it to you from parent to child, you know. So, in that case, cleaning up your room is actually a voluntary response. Now, if you don't clean it up, there are some consequences. In most cases, you might not get to do some fun things on the weekend, you know. Might get in a little trouble about it. I don't know. So, you know, you may want to make sure, even though cleaning up your room is a voluntary response, that you still clean it up. All right, moving on to the next point. Responses that you do not have to think about are involuntary responses. So we gave examples: breathing, involuntary; heartbeat, involuntary. You don't have a choice about that. It's beating, all right? And digestion, involuntary. All right, let's quickly move on. Here we go. A reflex is an involuntary response. So some reflexes, like blinking in response to something coming towards your face, are controlled by the brain, okay? So if something's coming towards your face, maybe you're outside, you're playing dodgeball, or you're shooting a basketball, somebody grabs the ball, throws it back to you, maybe your eyes blink at some point, right? That is involuntary. You don't have to have a conversation and think about that. Should we blink right now? Maybe we should blink. Maybe not. All right, let's blink. Like, no, you don't have to go through all that, right? Okay, so that's involuntary. Okay, but that is considered a reflex. Okay? But some reflexes are processed in the spinal cord and do not even require the brain for a response. So blinking, okay, is controlled by your brain. So there are some reflex responses that are controlled by the brain, and then you have some that are not controlled by the brain, okay? So in this case, this is where the knee-jerk test kicks in, all right? Oh, look, we have a new subscriber. Hey, Colin, good to see you. Okay, so the knee-jerk is in response to the rubber hammer is a spinal cord reflex, not a brain reflex, okay? Spinal cord reflexes occur quickly because the information is processed in the spinal cord. We talked about that on Monday. And a reaction occurs before the brain even receives the information about a stimulus, okay? So with that being said, in a knee-jerk reflex, information passes from the knee to the spinal cord and then to the leg muscles, which causes the leg to pop out, right? Your leg moves even before your brain recognizes the hit of the hammer. So the brain's like, what just happened? After the fact, right? These reflexes have a very predictable cause and effect pattern. So any change to that pattern indicates something is wrong. So here's the purpose of the knee-jerk test. This is why the hammer test is one good test for checking how well the nervous system is responding to signals. So when a doctor does the hammer test, they are checking to see how well your nervous system is responding to signals. It's the entire purpose. A lot of times they'll just boop, right? So here we go. Let's take a look what this looks like. Knee-jerk reflex. I'll bring this up. A knee-jerk reflex is a type of involuntary response called a spinal cord reflex. All right, so it's called a spinal cord reflex. All right, the stimulus, let's check out the stimulus. See if I can slide this over a little bit. Shrink this down just a snag. There we go, there we go. I think this works. Okay, so the stimulus is something in your external environment, right? Right here. It's your hammer, all right? So the stimulus is a tap just below the knee, right below the knee, okay? Information travels to the spinal cord. These arrows show the information traveling to the spinal cord. Right here is the spinal cord, okay? So the spinal cord is receiving the information. Oh, snap, something just hit our knee. Something just hit our knee. Oh gosh. Okay, anyway. Oh gosh. Which relays a signal to the leg muscles to jerk the leg upward. Something just I'm back. Here we go, here we go. Something just hit our knee. All right, here we go. Jerk the leg upward. So then the initial stimulus does not need to be relayed to the brain for the response to occur. All right? So anytime you have the knee jerk reflex, it's an indication that your nervous system is good to go. All right? So next time you go to the doctor and they do that knee jerk reflex test, you can actually have the conversation with the doctor. Oh, okay, so this is an external stimulus that you're going to use. All right. Got it. All right, so you want to do that so you can check to see, how my body's going to respond, and, my spinal cord will relay a message back to my knee to move as long as my nervous system is good to go, doc. That's what we're doing here. But, oh my gosh, you know your stuff. You have to show them you know your stuff. You have to show them you know your stuff. All right? So let's check for some understanding here. Here's a question example. When a person's hand accidentally touches an extremely hot surface like the heated horseshoe picture below. Check this out. I would hope somebody wouldn't see that and just touch it. But, this is the example. They will immediately lift their hand to avoid further injury. So it's the same thing as if you're in the kitchen and there's a hot pot and mistakenly you touch it. Stay away from the stoves, children. You know what you're doing. Leave it up to the grown-ups. So serious, all right? And then, hot, all right? Your body is natural reaction. All right, this is an example of, would you call that a voluntary response or an involuntary response? All right, let's check. Let's check. Let's try the first one. See if it's voluntary. Here we go. The answer, no, it's not voluntary. It's not voluntary. Okay? So we want to check the second one. Oh, we have to clear a screen. Reset. All right. And do our check here. Correct. An involuntary response is a response that you do not have to think about before action occurs. In this case, removing the hand is a reflex that, hold on, one sec, that the person does not think about, okay? So, keep in mind, responses that you have to think about to control are voluntary responses, okay? Responses that you do not have to think about are involuntary responses. So you should be able to distinguish between voluntary and involuntary responses at this point. All right, here we go. Wrap up questions. What are the two types of responses? That should be a piece of cake with a little icing. All right, here we go. Two types of responses are voluntary responses and involuntary responses. Should have that answer. All right. Is standing up a voluntary response or an involuntary response? Think about it. Standing up is a voluntary response. All right. Is breathing a voluntary response or an involuntary response? Breathing is an involuntary response. All right. Is digesting food a voluntary response or an involuntary response? I know you know these answers. You're so smart. Digesting food is an involuntary response. Are reflexes voluntary responses or involuntary responses? Reflexes. Reflexes are involuntary responses. When you are asked to clean your room, is your response voluntary or involuntary? Be careful. Please don't tell your parents this. I can have a voluntary response to this. Please don't do that. Don't do that. When I'm asked to clean my room, my response is voluntary. Keep in mind there's consequences. Consequences if you choose not to. All right, here we go. Why do doctors give us the knee-jerk test? You should know. And you should be able to communicate that to your doctor. Doctors give us the knee-jerk test to check how well our nervous system is responding to signals. All right, that is the end of today's class. I want to give a shout out to our HB Warriors, all of our subscribers, all of our visitors. We want to close out today's session with an outro. All right, we have to wrap this out. I know you have rap skills, so tune in with me. Here we go. It's been fun. It's been real. We break it down and pick up science skills. Give yourself 2 claps just for tuning in. Come back, meet tomorrow. We can learn again. Oh, it's been fun. It's been real. We break it down and pick up science skills. Give yourselves 2 claps just for tuning in. Come back, meet tomorrow. We can learn again. Get it? It's been fun. It's been real. We break it down and pick up science skills. Give yourself 2 claps just for tuning in. Come back, meet tomorrow. We can learn again. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you all tomorrow. Shout out to the scholars.